Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Wild Game Anglers podcast. I'm your host, Henry Vine, and in this episode, I will not be having a guest. In fact, I want to talk to you about a little story that I had where I made the front page of the newspaper back in 2006, all for the wrong reasons. Also, second off, I want to talk about a young man named Guillaume, 16 years old, who makes his own lures, which is pretty impressive. And the last thing I want to do before closing off the podcast is answer some questions that some of you asked for me on Facebook and on YouTube. So back in 2006, on my way to high school every morning, I would drive. The bus would pick me up and drive by the 143 by the St. Francis River. Every spring, I'd look at that river. It was a long bus ride. In fact, it was a long bus ride. It would take me around an hour and a half to go to school every morning and around an hour and a half to come back home at night. And we'd always drive by the St. Francis River. And each time I looked at it, I always imagined myself one day taking a canoe from Richmond and going down the current all the way down to Dronville, the city closest to where I live. I started talking about this with some friends, and it ended up in the month of June. We were 6 friends that gathered together during the exams of school time, a day where we had no exams. I was 18, my other friend is 18, and the rest of us are 17. We're 6 total, and 2 canoes and 1 kayak. And I happened to end up in a canoe with Alex. There's 2 Alexes on the trip. One Alex is in the kayak. The other one is in a canoe with me. And the other canoe, there are 3. It's Carmen, Sunny, and Philip. So we're all excited. We leave. It must be around 8 or 9 in the morning. Everything is going well. We leave from Richmond, our destination to Johnville, and it should be at least a 6-hour quest, a long quest. Everything is playing out good so far, and we have like a little map, and we know we have rapids coming up, the rapids of Ulverton, and there's 2 rapids. So there's also the second rapids would be the Les Rapides du Bec du Canard, which would mean Duck Beak Rapids. So our journey is going good. We're having fun. We're fishing. We have our little fishing tackle. We take breaks by the shore, and finally, maybe 2 hours into our trip, we hear the rapids. We hear the Ulverton rapids, and they're loud, and the current is picking up just a little bit, but we know that we still have a good maybe 500 or 600 meters before we have to get off. It rained a lot. The river was much higher. We should have canceled, to be honest with you. But we didn't, because we're young and we're naive. So Alex and I were the lead canoe, and we're like, okay, we're going to take a look. We're going to scout. So we must be at least a good 200 feet in front of the second canoe. And Alex on the other kayak is last, and he's pretty far behind. So we go around this bend on the water, and we're hearing the rapids. They're getting loud, but we're supposed to, once we cross this bend, we're supposed to get off, walk along the rapids, which must be a good 200-300 meter walk. That's how bad those rapids are. They're pretty long, and they're pretty mean, to be honest with you. We're hearing them roaring, and as we do that bend, because the water level is so high, we notice that we can't get off anymore. We can't go to the side of the river. The current is picking up strong, and we both had our life jacket on. I just remember the fear. Like I got scared. I look at my friend. What do we do? And he's like, look, you hold the canoe with both hands, and I'm just going to try to ram us. We're going to ram, and I'm looking at the waves, and the waves are hitting in the impact, and they must be 4 to 6 feet, if not more. You see them coming up. Okay, so I'm holding on the canoe like this. He starts ramming. The first wave flipped the canoe, not on the side, but completely like upwards, where I went flying into the water. My friend Alex went flying into the water. The canoes flipped, and we're in the water. And just before that, I knew we were going to flip in the water. I took my life jacket, and I made sure it was tight on me. I tightened all 3. We're in the water. I'm in the water now, and I feel the water sucking me. The current is so strong, the impact, and I feel myself going underwater. Whew. And I'm holding my breath, and I'm in the water, and then I feel my life jacket pulling me back up, and I come back out, and I'm like, take a deep breath. Whew. I'm back in the water again. I'm out of the water, in the water, out of the water. And then I'm looking, I see my friend Alex, he's holding onto the canoe, and he's like, come here. And I'm there, and I'm trying to swim, and I make it. We're holding onto the canoe, And I remember seeing the other canoe, they're going down the rapids along the shoreline, and they're fine. I remember screaming for help, and they couldn't help me. It was the panic that took over, to be honest. But and I also remember when I was in the water, I thought about my father, who's up in heaven, and I told him, I talked to him. I said, Dad, I don't want to die. I don't want this to be the day. We went down those rapids, and next thing you know, the water calmed down, and we started screaming and celebrating until we realized that the current was still extremely strong and with the canoe on us. And if we would have went to our right, where we were close to shore on the right, but we knew that it was the forest and there was no road. It wouldn't have been a smart decision to go that way, so we let the canoe go and we swam to the left, which was a good distance, and we made it to a field. But I was really cold. June 6th, like I said, the water was in its 50s, and I'm not, as you guys could see, I don't have too much meat on me, so I'm right down to the bone, and I was purple. And I remember I could hardly walk. My friend had to help me. I'm going up a hill on a country road, and there's a lady in a car that drove by. We made her stop, and an elderly woman. She didn't want to help us, and I think she was scared. She didn't know us. She didn't want to help strangers. She didn't believe our story, even though we were soaking wet. And so we had to walk at least a kilometer. We found there was a house abandoned. We knocked. No one was there. We continued walking, and we finally found another house, and it was an elderly couple in their 80s. Very, very, very nice people. Right away, when I knocked on their door, they saw there was a problem, and they took us in. They called 911, and the man, he gave me his clothing, dried. They started a fire. They dried us up. The ambulance came, and in the meantime, we still had no news from our friends. And our friends, I I don't recall 100% what happened to them if they managed to get off and walk, but they were way far behind. So by the time we were down in their house. By the time they made it down the rapids, they didn't see us no more. No cell phones at the time, or maybe we did those old cell phones, but I guess no one had a cell phone. They continued on their canoe to try to find us, and there's the second Alex. He was behind everyone, and he went down those rapids too. He flipped. He busted his kneecap, but they found him. They took him in the canoe, and then they started looking for us. And at the same time, we called 911, and the helicopter found them. Police found them. Everyone was fine. But all that to say, it was a crazy experience. In the 1800s, there's people that went into those rapids and they passed away. And I know in the early 1900s, there was a man that tried to cross the rapids with a horse, and him and his horse died. So rapids that are not to be messed around with. And we did an incompetent error. We were young, naive, and we did not accomplish our goal of making it home. But the good news is it's a great memory, a great life lesson. I survived. I'm still here talking to you guys, and I have the proof. We made it to the front page of La Tribune, which is the Eastern Township's newspaper. And right there, the six of us, we weren't in one canoe, but for the picture, they put us in one canoe. That's our canoe that Alex and I sold. This would be the Alex, right. Okay, my finger can't point him. But the guy in green beside me, and then Philip is the other guy in green. There's Carmen and Sunny, and the other Alex that was in the kayak, he did not make it. For the picture, that was on the same evening. And on the next day, there was exams at school. I couldn't get out of bed that morning, probably because of the adrenaline of swimming in the current and all that. I was stiff, so there's an exam I missed, and then I got to do it later. So all in all, that was a pretty crazy story. I'm glad everyone made it out alive. So that's that. I think I said pretty much all I had to say. It's a story that I feel good to share with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Another thing I want to talk to you guys about is Guillaume. Guillaume is a 16-year-old young man. He's the son of a work colleague of mine that started to get involved into the fishing industry. And his father asked me, he's like, hey, it would be cool if you could take him fishing eventually. And unfortunately, I hadn't really had the time because of with my kids and life changing with my job and all that stuff. And last year, it was supposed to be last year in 2024, I was supposed to take him out fishing. But what I did do instead is I gave him some fishing locations near where he lives, and he actually caught some nice fish. But that's not what impresses me the most about him. What impresses me the most is the lures he's been making. He makes some soft plastic Ned rigs. He'll make some crawfish, some senkos, some swim baits. He's really good at what he's doing. Now he's doing some spinner baits, and he's actually trying to sell some on Marketplace and on Facebook, and his Facebook page is Les Leurres STG. He wanted to give me some baits. I could not accept. I wanted to buy them off of him. I did not want to accept his baits for free. So I bought some of his baits and I want to put them to the test, and I'm really, really, really confident that they're going to work out for the 2025 season. So don't forget to go check him out on Facebook, Les Leurres STG, which means Leurres STG for his last name. So I'm already at stage 3 of my podcast, of my solo podcast. It's going much faster than I thought. So if you guys made it this far, thank you very much. So now I'm going to the question and answering phase. I have some people that ask me some questions on YouTube and on Facebook. Question number 1 is anonymous, but it's a question that I do get asked a lot. So the first question is it true that fishing is better in the morning and in the evening? So I would have to say yes, but that might depend on the time of year, the weather, and most importantly, the moon. The moon's gravitational pull affects the Earth's tides during a full moon, the new moon, and when the sun, the moon, and the Earth align, you get stronger tides. This increased water movement stirs up food and attracts fish, making them more active and easier to catch. I also believe that the brightness of a full moon can help predators see their prey more easily, potentially making fish more cautious. On darker nights, the new moon, fish might behave differently, possibly venturing into shallower waters. During the new moon, I believe fishing can be good from shore throughout the whole day, and especially during the early morning and late evening. I like using the mobile app called Fishing Times on Android. I don't know if they have it on Apple. With this app, you can insert the region where you want to fish, and it will tell you if it's a good day to be out there, including the major and the minor fishing hours. Major and minor fishing hours are often determined using a concept called the solar theory, which is based on the idea that the movement and behavior of fish are influenced by the positions of the moon and the sun. While fishing for muskie, it's incredible how the muskies are on time with the major. Over the years, I've been using this method for muskie, and trust me, it works. Talking about muskie, one question I got on YouTube from Ron on the Fitness Outdoors YouTube channel is, can you share some insights on best baits for muskie? Well, this could be a tough one for me to answer because the muskie I target live in a completely different habitat than where most muskie anglers fish. Although, Ron, you do fish the same type of water bodies as I do, my tips may not be beneficial for some of you. The muskies I target are mostly river muskies, and the population is quite abundant. Besides some smallmouth bass and a few suckers, bait fish are small. A 40-inch muskie on the river I'm fishing on will not wait for a 12-inch bulldog to strike. In fact, the bulldog might scare it away. Bait fish in the river I tend to be fishing on are 4 to 8 inches, and I came to realize over the years that I've been catching muskies at strategic points using bass lures, especially the Ned rig, the big TRD from Z-Man, at strategic locations where muskie like to hang around. To answer your question, Ron, I really like the bucktails from Joe Booker Outdoors. I've caught my fair share of muskie on various colors using the 8-inch one. The river you're fishing on seems to hold some big ones, so in your case, I tried a 12-inch one. Thanks for your question, Ron. A question I got from Chris from Bogley's Keeping It Real, a recent guest on my podcast, is how do I set up my leader for muskie while fishing the Ned rig? Chris, he asked me this question on our previous podcast together, and for some reason I derailed into another topic and forgot to answer his question. I'll start off by saying I use the medium 6'6" fast action Okuma Deadeye Classic. You guys are probably thinking I'm crazy right now, but to be honest, this rod is so underrated. I spool 20 pounds braid on my Daiwa Revros LT 2500 spinning reel. I then do an Alberto knot attaching approximately 6 feet of 17 pounds fluorocarbon line. Why 17 pounds? Because if I snag the bottom, the fluorocarbon will break before my braid does. I also attached the Ned rig directly on the fluorocarbon with a Palomar knot. You guys can see the rest of on my YouTube channel. I've been using this method for years and I've been reeling in some big fish quite rapidly. This setup is also beneficial for multi-species angling. I don't need to carry multiple rods with me, but don't get me wrong, I still carry my St. Croix Mojo Muskie to cast my big lures. Another question Chris has for me is, since my podcast with my mom, he wants to know what's my favorite meal and what's my favorite dessert. Well, that's a good one, Chris. My mom makes some delicious homemade pizza. She still makes it when I visit her to this day. And as for dessert, she makes the best spice cake in the world. It's a dessert I enjoy and I've been eating it since forever. I don't think she made one on her YouTube channel yet though. Thanks for your questions, Chris. Joe from Live to Fish. If you could fish anywhere in the world for one species you haven't fished yet, where would that be and what would you be targeting? So a destination I really hope to get to one day is the Amazon. Fish like the arapaima, red-tail catfish, and giant catfish are on my bucket list. I already started doing some research and I found a resort that's dedicated to fishing on the Amazon River, and one day I really intend to go. Your other question is, for hunting, I propose the same question. Where in the world would you love to hunt and what would you like to hunt for? As for hunting, I don't really have a dream destination. I really like my local deer and turkey hunting. One day, I would really like to get a black bear. And if I were to organize a trip, what does come to mind would be some big mule deer in Alberta. Thanks for your questions, Joe. Frontier Fishing with Ryan McDonald asks, what will you be doing differently this year to cement your own legacy within the rapidly evolving YouTube world? Well, I'm doing a podcast. I agree that YouTube is rapidly evolving. My channel is like my personal journal. So later in life, I'll be able to look back at what I've accomplished and then show my kids and grandkids. And to be honest, I just want to have fun filming and fishing my hunting and fishing adventures. I really enjoy connecting with other passionate outdoorsmen like yourself. So with the podcast, I feel creating a bond with fellow YouTubers is something that I never imagined I could have accomplished before. So as to cementing my legacy, I just hope that people enjoy and they learn what I have to share. Thanks for your question, Ryan. The last question I have is from Sue's Cooking and Outdoors, my mom. She asks, what's your first fishing memory? I remember when Dad bought you a new Shimano rod. We did a family trip and fished off some docks on Lake Memphremagog. I was excited while reeling in my first largemouth bass, which I believe was the biggest one of the day. That's probably how my addiction all started. I need to go back to Lake Memphremagog. I went back a few times over the years, but to be honest, must make a good 5 years since I went back. So in 2025, you guys might see a video where I might just rent a boat and go fish on Lake Memphremagog on some little spots that where that's still locked in my memory. On Lake Memphremagog, there's lake trout, largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, northern pike. They're rare, but there's some chain pickerel. They have rainbow trout, brown trout, and I believe they have landlocked salmon. But if I go, it will be in the summertime, and I'll mostly target largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, and chain pickerel. Thanks for your question, Mom. Really good question. So that wraps up today's episode of the Wild Game Anglers podcast. Thank you all for tuning in and sharing in my passion for the great outdoors. Whether you're chasing muskies, crafting lures, or dreaming of a far-off fishing adventures, I hope you found some inspiration and useful tips today. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with your fellow anglers and hunters. It means the world to me and helps keep my channel growing. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram for more stories, techniques, and updates on my adventures. I just also want to add in there that I already had a TikTok account, and on this weekend I just started posting. And if anybody wants to check out Wild Game Anglers on TikTok, I'll follow you guys back. Be sure to check out all the great channels that participated in today's podcast with their excellent questions. Until next time, get out there and catch some fish. Keep chasing your wildest dreams out there. This is Henry Vine, signing off.